Today I'm going to talk about how much money a 30,000 subscriber YouTube channel makes.
Like
10.59 miles, 9 minutes, 26 seconds per mile, 138 beats per minute on an extremely strange weather day. It was a very unusual fog, a really dense fog, and very dark for most of the run today. So some challenging running conditions. The winds were really stiff. The winds are changing. It was really warm on Christmas morning, and now a cold front is definitely coming through, feeling very different than it did just 24 hours ago. Now, what I want to talk about today, though, is what a 30,000 subscriber YouTube channel makes. I did the same thing at the end of 2018. Last year, when I had a little bit over 10,000 subscribers, this year I have a little bit over 30,000 subscribers, and I wanted to do the same thing. Now, just to give a little bit of background for those of you who are new to this channel or have never seen this channel before, but are interested in some of the analytics and the data, this is a running YouTube channel. We cover all things running, whether it's running shoes, running accessories, running food, or running races. So everything and anything that's kind of related to running, like running earbuds, something that I'm very passionate about, or running watches, a tool that is very useful for me to use. So those are the kinds of things that we cover on this channel. And I mentioned that not just to give you a little bit of background as to why you just had to watch like all that intro running footage, but also because it makes a difference on how much a YouTuber makes is the kind of channel that you have. And not so much that YouTube pays different based on different types of channel, but the YouTube ad revenue pays different depending on the audience or the people that are watching. And so someone that makes a running YouTube channel is going to make a different amount of money on the number of views that they get versus, say, like someone that teaches like how to do real estate versus someone that teaches how to do makeup versus someone that teaches like how to get the most out of your Disney trip. So all those things are going to be really different in terms of what 30,000 means. But because I remember as I was starting to work more on my channel and kind of deciding like, is it really worth it to be spending so much time on a YouTube channel, at least financially, I felt like these kinds of videos that I was seeing other people make were really interesting. I think that if you're watching like a whole bunch of these, you'll get a better flavor of kind of what kind of the ad revenue is more like in a realistic sense. So I'm going to dive right into my channel analytics here. So unfortunately, I've been looking down at my laptop quite a bit. For those of you that are familiar with the channel and have been here before, you'll notice we're in another bathroom. I'm at my sister's place. At the end of the year, I do a lot of traveling. The running footage that you saw was from my in-laws' place in Iowa, currently at my sister's place in Connecticut. I'm going to spend the new year here. So let me get to my computer and we'll look at some of the data. All right, so we're logging in here and we're looking directly at my dashboard. This is kind of what I look at anytime I log into YouTube, at least from a laptop perspective. And we'll go into the analytics on the side over here and we'll just jump straight into revenue. The channel analytics, you get like a dashboard of stuff. It tells you like what your last 28 days of estimated revenue is. Lately, I'm at about 35,000 subscribers now. For the last probably like 60 days, I've been at this like $2,500 to $2,600 in terms of the last rolling 28. So that's been good because that's been way up for me compared to where I was just a year ago. Let's look at the revenue, and we can change the amount of time to the last 365 days, or let's just look at 2019. So for 2019, the amount of estimated revenue is $15,636.53. The amount of monetized playback was 3.2 million monetized playbacks, and the playback-based CPM, that's cost per mille, M-I-L-L-E, I think, that's like the amount of money that YouTube is willing to pay you for 1,000 views of the type of viewer that your channel gets. That's $8.26. And that's apparently up. And so here's the monthly estimated revenue for the last 6 months. And you can see how much it's jumped. We'll go back for even further. So for December, and December is just about over, we're at $25.80. November is 24. October, that's usually my biggest month of the year. Again, this is a running channel and I'm based out of Chicago. I run the Chicago Marathon every year, or I try to. And so that's kind of like, if this were like a Disney vlog, that'd be like my yearly trip to Disney World. So that's in October, that's 1,800. So that's where like the big jump hits. Because before that was like 1,400, 12, 13, 1,000. So it gets, even though summer months are prime running months, people aren't really like all that like super into running content until like later in the year as they're getting closer to their own marathons, and a lot of marathons are in the fall. So let's go back to January. So January, about 12 months ago, I was making $709.72. And so quite a jump. This December number, I don't know why that is. I think maybe it's because we're looking at things for the last 365 days. That's why that December numbers were, last December is probably closer to what that January number was. It was about, I remember I was making about like $600 to $800 a month about a year ago. So a substantial increase in terms of what the monthly revenue is for this channel. And I wanted to just jump into that right away because we'll talk a lot more about some details. But for those of you that just want that bottom line number, I've already made you wait long enough, so I wanted to get to it right away. So that's that number. So let's close that, or at least go back now to some of the top earning videos over 2019. And so we'll look at the top 5. And so Raycon E50, the earbuds that everyone gets ads for, I got a ton of ads for it, and so I decided I would do a review on it. I was actually really surprised by the sound quality, but it had lots of connectivity issues with those earbuds. So like there was hit and miss. There was a lot of buzz over that earbud because it was advertising so hard. And then they also had like really great performance and really poor performance at the same time, or poor customer service. And so I think a lot of people were just looking for information and content about these earbuds. And so that video itself ended up earning me $1,500, which is a huge surprise to me. The second highest earning video was GoPro Hero 7 versus GoPro Hero 5. Should you upgrade? That made me that video alone made me $618 in 2019. The thing about that video is I made it in 2018. I made that in October 2018. And so that made me a ton of money in 2018 for like that last quarter. And then it's still continuing to make me money now in 2019. I made a Nike running shoes. I kind of analyzed the entire line of Nike running, not the entire line, but all the important shoes in the Nike running line in 2019. That video has made me $600 so far in 2019. It didn't post in January, obviously. And then I made a video about Nike. They've got a lot of stuff going on in-house that I think they need to clean up. I made a video about that. That video alone made me $175. And then the Nike Zoom Fly 3. I usually do 2 reviews for a running shoe, an initial kind of first impressions video, and then after I run 100 miles in the shoe. That video after 100 miles made me $173. So let's take a look a little bit deeper into that, and we'll make sure we're still on looking at 2019. So we could see what other shoe videos are making me a decent amount of money. So the Next Percent Vaporfly is a shoe that came out with a lot of fanfare and ended up the year with a lot of controversy, which I found a little bit surprising. I don't think it's that controversial of a shoe, but that shoe was really hard to get when it came out in April, and the initial release price was $275. I couldn't get it because it was only released in very limited quantities in London and I think in Germany. And so I had to buy mine on the aftermarket on StockX. I think I paid about $450 for mine at the time. But I made a video about the shoe right away. That video made me $166. Then I made a comparo video comparing 3 different versions of Vaporflies. The Vaporfly Next, the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit, and the Vaporfly 4%, the original version. That video made me $153. So basically, I'm kind of leveraging the expense that I already spent on that original shoe. And then the Pegasus 36, one of my all-time favorite shoes, the Pegasus line. That one is always perennially a very popular video for me because it's also a very popular shoe. The shoe cost $120. The video made me $149 just for the first run video. My 2019 Chicago Marathon video, I made a video, like I carried the GoPro with me through the race, made a video about it. Also had some help filming from some local sports, endurance sports filmmakers, Ham Visuals. They helped me out with some key footage there when I was too tired to GoPro myself. That video made me $146. And so then my best running shoes of 2018 video, that video was shot here in my sister's basement, the next room over. That made me $135. So I didn't have to do anything else to that except talk about shoes that I liked. I didn't have to buy anything new for that video, and that was $135. I've been low heart rate training, and after I've done that for about 500 miles, I made a recap video about it. That didn't cost me anything. I made $132 off of that. My Epic React Flyknit after 270 miles video made me $129 this year. That is a pair of shoes that I think is like $120 or $130. But that is a pair of shoes that I bought a year ago in 2018, in the summer of 2018. So that's another video that I made it more than 12 months ago. It's continuing to make me a substantial amount of money. And it's a lot of revenue compared to the amount of expense that it was, and effort that it was. Zero extra time, zero extra expense. Then Adidas Ultra Boost 19, which is a shoe that I picked up for $75. It was on sale. I picked it up and released the video the day before the Ultra Boost 20 came out. And already, which is only like a month ago, that video has made $127 for me. So it ends up being a profit. The whole point of going through all these is just to show that, like, and I'll scroll down a little bit further so you guys can see like some more of the numbers. Let's go down to, there we go. So you can see like how it goes down. There is a little bit of an analysis that goes into like, should I review a shoe? Is like, how much does the shoe cost and how much do I think that I can make off of that video? That's one thing to look at. But the other thing that goes into deciding like what to review next or what to talk about next has nothing to do with these numbers at all. Because there's something else that goes with these, is that if I bring in someone with a Pegasus 36 video, then that person hopefully will subscribe, or at least I'll show up in their algorithm maybe one or two more times with an opportunity to catch their eye with a different video. That video in and of itself may not be all that profitable, but it may be really entertaining to that particular person. And so it might be one of the really lower performing videos that I have here. Let's go to the bottom of this list. Let's see, best running ear count, there's the Raycon. The first video that I made about Raycon, I made two videos because I did one when it first came out and then one when it, after running 100 miles, or I think about a month in those, so it was way more than 100 miles. That video made me $67 for it. So there's other videos that some of them make a bunch of money for you, some of them don't, but I think that purely looking at it from like a, well, that shoe or that earbud costs way too much, like the Powerbeats Pro. I don't think I even saw that on the list here. Yeah, the Powerbeats Pro was a pair of earbuds that cost $250, really expensive. I don't think they've even made it into this list here. Yeah, so they're there in a video that I made after the original two videos that I made about the Powerbeats Pro. And so I made an initial review video and then a follow-up after a much more extended period of use, and to talk about some of the issues I was having with that particular set of earbuds. It didn't come up in this list in terms of my top performing videos until this video when I compared 4 different sets of earbuds. And so sometimes something works out, sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes it works out later because now I have a breadth of experience to look at in terms of how do I compare a variety of different products that runners or that my core audience will be interested in, or even some people who aren't my core audience will be interested in. So that's kind of a different way of looking at like what to talk about next. My overall kind of advice for people is when you're deciding what kind of content to make, hopefully you're making content about something that you are particularly yourself actually interested in. And so think about what interests you. What interests you will interest other people like you. You want to be finding other viewers like you because that's the people that you can talk to in a unique way. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the analytics here, and we'll go into, rather than just the numbers, let's go into some of the other kind of like other numbers. So we'll go into the overview for 2019. 5.3 million views for 2019, 360,000 hours watched. It just updated. 5.3 million views, 362,000 hours people have spent watching my content. It increased in about 25,000 subscribers in 2019. So it's been a crazy year, so much incredible growth, and there's that annual revenue number. And so let's just look at some real-time activity. So these are some of the numbers that I actually look at, is what's been going on in the last 48 hours. My posting has been a little bit sporadic over the holidays, or not as usual as it normally is. I try to publish 5 to 6 videos per week, at least I did for 2019. And so these are kind of like normal numbers. Usually it's a little bit different than this in terms of like the first 2 videos will be a little bit higher, like in the 5 to 7,000 in terms of the last 48 hours of activity. And then the trailing 3 are usually like a little bit lower, like in the thousands. So like this Hoka Rincon video getting 1,900 views in the last 48 hours. That's 5 videos ago. That's about right. But these seem a little bit higher than normal. These seem a bit lower than normal in terms of what I usually get. So that's one way of looking at stuff here. Let's look at reach for 2019. My reach, I don't really look at this screen all that much. I probably should. In terms of where I'm getting my traffic from, so you could see I'm getting most of it from browse features and YouTube search. So we do a lot of product reviews. And so a lot of times people are finding me because they're trying to figure out like, all right, I've been getting all these ads for the Jaybird Vista or the Raycon, or I wonder if I can actually run an AirPods Pro, and they'll do a search for it and then they'll find me. And that's the YouTube search. The browse features are, I think, if you're just scrolling through YouTube, how much is YouTube feeding you to other people? So YouTube has been pretty good in terms of feeding me to other people. I'm getting a total of 64.2 million impressions that YouTube is serving up to people, or 49.9% from it recommending my content. And then of those 64.2 million impressions, I get a 5.2% click-through rate. So, you know, whenever you scroll by a thumbnail, that's something that YouTube keeps track of. Mine is 5.2%. I have no idea if that's a good number or not. And so that comes down to 3.3 million. My average view duration, okay. My light is acting funny. My average view duration is about 4 minutes, which is something that I always try to keep up. Of all the metrics that I keep track of, my average view duration is the one that I keep track of most closely. I wish average view duration were not so much view duration, but also view duration weighted by like view ratio. Some of my minutes are 10 minutes long. Some of my videos are 20 minutes long. Some of them are 5 minutes long. And so like, I wish there was a way that YouTube kept better track or gave you more credit for like, hey, someone stayed through this video to like 75% to 90%, even though it was only 3.5 minutes. It was a quality 3.5. Like, I wish they kept track of that. I don't think that they do. They probably do, but they don't report it. But anyway. All right. So the one thing that I do keep track of is average view duration. I also look at videos periodically. Individual videos, which you can do, and you can check on the view retention of what percentage of people that started out watching a video are still watching towards the end. And I try to keep that as high as possible towards the end, like over 50%. I don't know if this is getting hot or what. So I try to keep that up as high as I can because I think that that's something that YouTube pays very close attention to. And so that's the metric that I care about the most, is view duration. And also I try to look at kind of view ratio. I try to keep 50% over like the 75% of the way through the video mark. Those are kind of like my somewhat arbitrary. I got those kind of numbers kind of from other people on YouTube that advise on these kinds of things. And so when you combine your views with your average view duration, then you get like your total watch time. The other thing that I kind of look at is I don't really look at my external traffic sources or my playlist sources. I kind of still do make playlists, but I don't really care about them all that much anymore. And I also don't really look too much at like my traffic source of suggested videos or YouTube search. I occasionally will look at this to see if like another channel is feeding me like a lot of views. A lot of times like my own channel is feeding me a lot of views, which is great because then like that means that I'm giving myself views and people are staying to watch more of my videos once one of my videos is done. I don't really do maybe that'll work. I don't really do like the end cards and stuff anymore. It's just really time consuming. And so like the only way that like I have like kind of continuing repeat viewing is by people like just watching it and YouTube feeding and suggesting more stuff and people agreeing and saying, okay, yeah, I'll watch that video too. So that's really important to me, that I'm getting my own videos suggesting my own other videos. I don't watch it nearly closely enough to be able to do that. I just hope that if I keep making good content, people will keep clicking on my own good content and YouTube will keep feeding people my own content. So those are my hopes. I don't know why this light is flickering like on and off. It's driving me crazy, but I'm just gonna keep going with it even though the lighting now is really, really bad because I'm almost done. So that's pretty much the only main thing that I look at in terms of engagement. I don't really care about all this engagement either. Then the only other one that I really look at, I don't look at any of these at all. The audience is something that I do keep in mind because the main thing that I'm trying to work on is the fact that my gender is 92% male and 7% or 8% female. I'd love that to be more like 50-50. I don't think that my content is necessarily male focused, but it tends to come out that way. That's not my intent. I apologize if it comes out that way. But I think that another kind of reason that that number is that way is because I think when it comes to people looking for running content, I think more men are looking for it on YouTube and more women are looking for running content on Instagram. That's kind of my hunch. That's kind of my gut feeling on it. So I don't take it too hard when still seeing like a really big disparity in terms of my gender breakdown in terms of who's watching me. 67% not subscribed to 30% subscribed is about normal for me. I don't care about the subscriber bell notification. I don't think you guys need to do that. The top countries is something that I kind of monitor, not because I want it to, because I'll do anything about it in terms of like, well, I gotta make sure that Germany's back up there. But if I notice that there's new countries that are coming in here, countries that are watching me more than have been before, I will kind of tailor the content, not a little bit more towards say like Australia or Thailand, but it'll help me think about, okay, so people that are now in the summertime, because they're in the summer hemisphere, southern hemisphere, they're thinking about summer running. So let's not make it completely about winter running. Let's think about summer when we're talking about shoes as well. The other thing that it also reminds me to do is that 35% of my views are from the US, 65% aren't. So when I'm talking about numbers like minutes per mile or mileage that I've run, 65% of my viewers don't use miles. Well, the UK uses miles and Canada uses miles, kind of. But a lot of my viewers don't. So I got to make sure I'm talking about stuff in kilometers, which those countries are using kilometers as well. The age grouping is something that I kind of just keep an eye on. Again, to tailor my content just a little bit, not hugely. One thing that's interesting is that I'm losing a little bit from the 18 to 24-year-old age range category, which is fine because I'm 40. So I'm not necessarily talking to an 18-year-old as directly as I used to. But I am getting a lot more in the 25 to 34-year-old category, which I think is really important because I think in terms of runners and marathoning, I think a lot of new people into that category are in that age group as well, 25 to 30 years old, 34 years old. So it's good that I'm capturing a lot of that. 35 to 44 years old, that's my age group, my age demographic. I'm getting 26% of my views from there. So that makes sense because that's like me talking to me. So that's also a good thing. So those are some of the metrics, and then we're back to revenue, which we've already taken a look at. So I've gone through it. I've tried to be as transparent as possible. Let me see if I can get this light back on. So I've gone through and I've tried to be as transparent as possible. Transparency is something that I always talk about on this channel. For every review video that I do, I always disclose whether it's a product that was sent to me, whether it's something that I bought with my own money, or whether anyone's paid me to make the video. And in no event do I ever give anyone a chance to preview any footage before the video goes up, after I've reviewed the product and like made my review video. That's probably why you don't see any sponsored videos on this channel, because I think with a lot of sponsored videos, people want to get that like kind of editorial kind of control, which I totally understand. And I don't begrudge anyone for wanting that. They just can't work with me. That's kind of how I work. So I wanted to give you guys also that are watching here regularly, plus all of you YouTubers that are out there that are like wondering, you know, what's the future gonna look like, hopefully. An idea, sometimes you're in your sister's bathroom with a light that's not working and you're trying to make the best you can at 4 o'clock in the morning over the New Year's holiday. But anyway, I wanted to always try to keep things as transparent as possible. And so that's the whole point of this video, giving you the highs and the lows. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd love to talk to you guys about it more down there. So one of the things that I do every week on the channel is I pick a different runner who is raising money in preparation for a race for charity. And that light is driving me insane. And I donate $70 to their fundraising efforts. This week it's Adam Cuomo, who's gonna be running the Boston Marathon in April. And he's gonna be raising money for Team Dream Big. Team Dream Big is an organization that provides low-income families with opportunities and access to physical activities and sports that they might not otherwise have the chance to participate in. Very worthy effort. I was happy to donate $70 of my own money to Adam's fundraising efforts, and I'll post a link in the description in case you'd like to learn more. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?